In 2021, we bought a house. A quirky old thing on top of a hill, looking out to a small lake, standing wonky in the middle of the fields. No neighbors, several kilometers to the nearest asphalt road. Is this what dreams are made of? What we had to face was endless demolition and paying the price for the decisions we made too late. In this video, the beginning is brutal. It's dirty and it's chaotic. But it's the reality. We go through a lot of unfortunate setbacks. Rot, mold, and shocking surprises under the surfaces.
I don't know how it stays there.
Which catapults this renovation into a whole new dimension. But stick with me, because we can finally see some hope on the horizon. What exactly happened? The story goes like this. I am Saga and I live in Finland. I love to make these videos, I love to make music, and I love old houses, so I guess that's how I ended up making those too. I'm very introverted and a little weird. And this is my spouse, the unpaid actor in my films. Before we ended up here, this house was abandoned for some years. It was severely neglected even long before the last owner moved to an old folks' home and passed away without any relatives. When the house came for sale, we put in a blind offer for the price of the plot. And now we're here. The house was never much to look at, as it had already been poorly renovated in the 19s, so not much of the original features was left. But the plot, that was what drew us here. Maybe we could turn this into something a little more appealing? Back in the day, this was one of the 3 biggest estates in the area. In the earlier setup from the 1800s, when this house was either rebuilt or reconstructed, the house had 2 big rooms on each end of the house, with one smaller room in the middle. My guess is that the big room on the right was a kitchen area, and the room on the left was where the guests were invited and probably some gatherings were held also. The layout was changed during some time in the 1900s, when a blind man and his son lived on the other end of the house, and a bigger bunch of their relatives lived on the other half. And this is the layout we're gonna keep. So we will have a bedroom, an office space, living room, the middle room, 2 porches, and kitchen. But we will add a small extension for a bathroom on the northeast end of the house. When we got the keys to this house, we pretty much immediately started the demolition. The 19th improvements had to go. The floors were a bit bouncy all around the house, so since the beginning the idea was to open up all the floors, fix what's needed and re-insulate. In the living room, the original floorboards had been removed with what appeared to be a floor made of toothpicks, so sadly there was nothing to be saved there. Now, unlike the rest of the house, the bedroom and the office area has not been lived in for decades, so it was saved from the 19th renovations. From those rooms we were able to save the old wooden floors. In the middle room, we felt a draft coming from the corner, and as we removed some layers from the walls, it turned out the lock frame was made of two separate parts, so there is basically two houses, and they are not attached to each other in any way. And there you can see the gap. But we did find these original clay paintings, which was an incredible thing to see. The kitchen was basically an uninteresting cube, but to our surprise, they had not removed the old ceiling boards. We wanted to return this room to the original state with log walls, and the log seemed beautiful once we removed the thick cardboard-like surface. Under the carpet, we were lucky enough to find really old floorboards that we could restore. So all in all, this kitchen seemed like a gold mine. Next, it was time to remove the insulation. We did try shoveling, but pretty quickly we noticed that we'd rather die than go through with that, considering that the whole attic was filled with the same stuff too. So we got it professionally done, with my husband as the shovel guide on the side. Must have been awful.
So it's looking rotten.
And now the real snowball effect started. The bedroom and the office walls had been built on top of it. So to fix the floor structures, we had to remove the walls, the chimney, and the old fireplace foundation. And you might start to see a trend here. It didn't stop there.
It turned out this whole shebang is on top of logs that are like this. I don't know how it stays there, like the whole thing. And the same thing goes for this big living room fireplace that I was so excited about. So we're not sure at all what can be done with this. Yep.
Sadly, the conclusion was that we were gonna lose the fireplaces. Fixing something underneath them would be very difficult and would most probably cause cracks on the fireplaces, which is not safe, of course. So none of the professionals encouraged us to even try it. So we took the punch and we kept going. I started to ask for quotes for the log replacements, which was really difficult as the skill is not widely known anymore. While I was figuring out that, we did our first build, a temporary bridge on the barn so we can have access and use it as a storage. While we were figuring out the logwork quotes, I was going through the log frame in the kitchen just to get familiar with it. Now the black logs looked perfectly fine and solid at first. I even drilled holes in them and knocked around to see if they really are as good as they seem. But then I noticed a small gap between the logs on the northeast end of the house. As I dug deeper into it, I could fit my hand through. We decided to open up the siding to see what was going on, and what we found put a stop to everything. The logs were mush. Now, rot is inescapable in a house this old, and we were of course prepared to replace some of the logs where the damage often is, which is the insulation level on the floor and the ceiling. But we were not prepared for this, I'm gonna be honest. This was when we stopped to think the whole thing through. Nothing happened in the house for a few months. By the end of the summer, we made the decision that we'll continue to work on the house. we'll just have to work more on the renovations ourselves than we originally thought. When the lock guys started to take down the rotten locks on the walls, it turned out that even the locks that seemed to be hard on the surface were hollow from the core. Strange, but not impossible, it seems. So the project escalated. Almost the whole wall and the corner had to be rebuilt. It took longer than we expected, but seeing this log wall in all its glory, it made me feel like this could be possible. Just as long as there wouldn't be a lot of new setbacks. That winter we took down the 2 unfortunate fireplaces, 1 big bread oven and 3 chimneys. Tons and tons of bricks were hauled outside. This is probably in the top 3 of the worst things we have done here. By spring we were finished up with the bricks and I started to plan the foundation work. Ei mitään, noin kova. Our neighboring plot had old foundation stones laying around that we thought we could use. They were so big and uneven that it would be a nightmare to level them, so we had to think of something else.
Hello, Liza. How do you do? I'm writing you a letter. I hope it reaches you. I know it's been a long time since you heard from me.
I got the foundation work scheduled for the summer, which meant that we had to get the inside of the house cleared. So that was another exercise. I thought that removing the floors and even parts of the ceiling would be a positive thing for this house when it comes to airflow, but silly old me, that only caused another problem. I guess that because the moisture was rising freely from the ground, it caused mold to grow on the dirty wall and ceiling surfaces.
Now, wish me luck. I hope this works. Woo! Looking good!
From the smooth surfaces it was easier to wash off. But remember the beautiful clay paintings in the middle room? Now is the time to look away, cause I'm pretty sure this is a crime. The washing didn't work on the clay-covered walls, so we had to sacrifice the best thing in this whole house, the original clay paintings. We had reached a point now when there's nothing special left in this house anymore. But I had to believe that there's something good that's coming out of this. In Finland we have this thing called sisu, and that's what has gotten us this far. So that we could make this house healthy and last for as long as possible, we had to shovel up to a 1 meter thick layer of soil from inside the house. Luckily we got some helping hands for shoveling most of it.
Mitä? Ai se oli, en mä luule, että se oli puusta tehty, mutta se olikin oikea pää.
And this task, it goes straight to the worst jobs list. I think it's pretty obvious.
excited. Whee! Look at that tree.
The house is standing on a few piles of rocks that have partially sunk into the soil. Here you can get a better view of the situation. We thought we were just gonna chunk up the house and fix the foundation, but because the soil is so clayey, we had to build under drains all around the house. So that's another bad surprise and an expense we hadn't budgeted for. For the foundations, we decided to buy ready-made foundation stones. These cost about 3,000 euros, which I hope we saved in the working hours, as these would be so much quicker to install than making concrete slabs and pillars all around. And also, this will just look so much better. Right after the foundation work was done on the other half of the house, it started pouring. And we realized just how important the under drains are. Next, we started to build the foundation for the bathroom extension. That was a little trickier, as we had to make a joint concrete slab for the log frame and the extension to avoid any movement in the separate structures. Quite quickly we came across a new surprise.
Kyllä se kuule siltä nyt näyttää.
An old well that was hidden under the house that had to be removed and filled. The log guy was in charge of the foundation stone installing and fiddling with the log frame, but soon we realized that there was actually no one who was in charge of the rest. Thanks to me organizing this whole thing without any previous experience. Of course, we did already have the drawings for the draining and everything else, but who was gonna build all that? We were of course prepared to help, but we didn't know anything. I had just been so overwhelmed about all the preparations, things to order and consider, and all the new information that this tiny detail never even crossed my mind. Luckily, the guy in the digger saved our asses. So the underdrain, water lines and sewage was eventually just built with the guy in the digger telling me and my husband what to do next, even though we only paid him to work on the digger. He was so helpful and patient, and he practically saved this whole project with his knowledge and kindness. The summer was intense. I spent my whole summer vacation here, and so we took a little break from the house while some logs were replaced on the southwest end of the house. And I guess this is not even a plot twist anymore, but the amount of that log work tripled in size too. By October, we were working again, this time building foundation pillars and fireplace foundations indoors. But before we could even begin, we had to move huge rocks out of the way. We spent several days digging them out of the clay, trying to split them and even pull them out with a car. These rocks literally broke me, cause when we got the last half out, I remember sitting down and crying for a few minutes. Out of mental or physical exhaustion, I don't even know. At this point, I was pretty much running on fumes. And that puts this definitely on the top 3 list of the worst jobs here. But now we are getting to the more positive things. Building this fireplace foundation was actually really nice. I think it was because we could only concentrate on building and not having to solve some sort of problem all the time.
Next step is for us to continue getting some more gravel inside the house. We are on a very tight schedule as it's getting colder and colder.
I think I got all the spots on my top 3 list of worst jobs already filled. But let's give this gravel hauling a badge of honor for definitely deserving some attention.
I'm just trying to show how it looked a while ago and how it looks now. So there's a lot of gravel inside.
Once we got the kitchen and the middle room fireplace foundations done, we moved on to build something of wood. We started making the floor to the kitchen and the middle room, so that felt like a fun new thing. I have a whole video of how we built the floor and why we built it the way we did, so I'll link it here on the screen if you want to check that out.
It looks so nice.
Having zero building experience and trying to learn everything ourselves was so slow that we had to prioritize. We decided to only concentrate on the kitchen and the extension renovations for now. That way we could maybe get some livable rooms ready quicker and possibly move in a smaller section of the house just so that we could get rid of our rental apartment. So the rest of the house will be untouched from now on, all the way to the unforeseeable future. That winter we had a lot of snow, so the spring was very wet and the lakes and the rapids were flooding as the snow melted. At the house, it was time to insulate the kitchen floor. At least here in Finland, the places you buy blowable insulation from often rent the machine for free that you can use to install it. We got the machine rented for a day, so we pushed through a long day and worked until 4 a.m. to get the job done. We had stashed the old floorboards to the barn, and we had forgotten that half of them were up to 8 centimeters thick. That of course doesn't work with the joists we had already installed, so we did this.
Eikö tää on 3-4? Onko se 3-3?
The floorboards that we didn't have to make thinner were bent like bananas, so we had to do all sorts of magic to get them fit. In some spots, the old floorboards were in such a bad shape that we had to cut parts of them off. But luckily we already bought some old spare boards and could use those to fill the gaps with. For now, we just screwed the boards in place, just so that we can easily remove the screws when we sand the floors. Ta-da! This floor was the first thing we built here that's actually gonna stay visible, so it felt like a great achievement to see all that come together.
Minkämoinen siihen olisi sitten hyvä? Siinä on.
Mitkä?
Then it was time to do some shoveling again. We were preparing to do the final concrete slab on the kitchen fireplace foundation, and strangely, ordering the concrete by truck turned out to be cheaper than making it ourselves. But the minimum batch would be so much bigger than what we needed, so we also prepared a spot for our fireplace foundation in the living room and got that done at the same time. They had replaced the original windows at our house in the 19s, which didn't look nice at all. So I bought old windows we could replace them with. Now I only have to learn how to restore them. I was working on the 2 kitchen windows for now so that we could seal the room for the winter. I painted the windows white because I had no idea what color they would eventually be, so that'll do for now. As our kitchen logs were rotten and so much of them had to be replaced, I had given up on the idea of leaving the logs visible there. I went to a clay plaster course in spring 2024, and now it was time to use those skills to level the walls. The autumn was terrible, so wet that we got in trouble again. As the kitchen still didn't have a ceiling and all the doors were open 24/7, you would think that the airflow was okay, but apparently the autumn was just too wet, because once we got most of the clay done, it started to grow mold. So we had to take it off and do it again. Sadly, just when we were almost in the clear, the weather got even worse.
Okay, what the fuck? It looks like it's been raining so much that the water has come through the logs. That's not good. And I'm wondering why it's this spot, because this is the best corner we have here. I'm outside now, and yes, it looks like it's been blowing. The wind has been blowing from the right all the time, so that's all wet. So I think we won't be doing any more of the clay.
We got a big construction fan heater from our neighbor, which eventually did dry all the clay. But we're not gonna continue with the clay for now. After the rain episode, it was clear that we have to now board up the walls. That December we thought we'd take a little break as the autumn had been quite stressful, but the break ended up lasting a few weeks more as we had to say goodbye to our beloved dog, Rollo, and had to take time to recover from the devastating loss. We started the year by reinstalling these old ceiling boards. To make the installation easier for us and to move the condensation point higher from where it has been a couple of centuries, we decided to place the boards on top of the logs. I don't know yet if I want to repaint them or not, so I decided to leave them as they are for now. I think it's better to not make any hasty decisions, considering there is what could be a couple of 100 years old boards at stake. We couldn't finish the ceiling yet because on the corner of the room there is log damage that needs to be taken care of. We called for a professional to do the job, but a couple of patches would be left for us to figure out due to his scheduling problems. While waiting for the log guy to arrive, we decided to paper over the kitchen ceiling boards in the attic. I have a longer 2025 video recap on my channel of everything we've built that year, which shows it all in a bit more detail. I'll link the video here on the screen if you'd like to watch it. I have had a very realistic fear of this house collapsing on us since the beginning, so touching anything structural has been something I've tried to avoid. But here we are. In the attic, we built these bridges that go across the kitchen ceiling for easy access to do yearly checkups on the house. The bridges will also work as a guide for us, so that we reach the preferred thickness of the insulation. In February, our biggest investment yet started to take the shape on the side of the house. A little extension where there will be a bathroom and a mudroom. From the very beginning it was clear as a day that we would not try to build this ourselves. Many people say that building new is easier than renovating old, especially as we had clear structural drawings of the extension. I have to disagree from my point of view, as I find modern materials and regulations very confusing. Diving into that end of construction just felt so overwhelming and uninteresting to me that I knew it would not end well.
You just have to believe.
I was happy to see it come together so quickly, as everything we do here takes so much time. At home I continued to restore this door, that will be the front door to the mudroom. It is not originally from the house, but it is exactly the style I was looking for this space. I am using traditional materials like linseed oil paint and putty to restore it, just so that the door would stay in the best possible shape for yet another century. The spring came with a nice progress on the bathroom. The floor is waiting for the electrician to come and install underfloor heating here before the concrete goes in. In the kitchen we continued with installing a window I restored and then tackling another log repair. On the log that was located behind the chimney that we sadly had to demolish, there was some old rot on it, and we figured it's easiest to just fix it right away before the insulation goes in. These type of extra tasks, they just keep on piling on top of each other, and while they do seem quite easy and quick, they are nothing of the sort when you're doing it for the first time.
What? Siellä on seinä! Eli tuleeko tähän huonetilaan niinku 3, sitten vintille 1?
When the lock guy was here working on this corner, he suggested we install a support beam here. We need to eventually somehow tie the living room wall through the porch to this kitchen wall here, so this support beam will probably be needed. I wasn't happy at all about having to learn to build another new thing we have never ever done before, but it made no sense to close up and insulate the kitchen ceiling, only to open it up again at some point to install the beam.
Mutta kylläpä se sinne tangolla sitten kiristyy.
So yet another surprise task to take care of. Due to extensive log repairs here, we had to take down the board and batten siding. On this end of the house, we got it off as a whole, so we can now reuse them. The boards are painted with Falu red paint, which in my opinion is the best possible option as it's a natural product and so easy to upkeep. The roof has been waiting for its turn for way too long, and we have just seasonally climbed there to refix the already fixed leaky spots, but this would be the last time as the roof renovation was finally scheduled for summer. While restoring these bathroom windows, I already had experience from restoring the 2 kitchen windows and the mudroom door, so the process felt so much lighter. Even the wood repairs no longer caused any hard palpitations. It's nice to feel how skills develop and confidence grows. During the summer, I had made a decision about the color of the windows. This color combination is more common in Sweden than it is in Finland, but it is so beautiful in my opinion that I couldn't resist it. Now on this end of the house we weren't so lucky with the siding. When the lock replacements were done here, we had something more important at hand, I think, and didn't have time to remove the siding before the lock work started. And so this is the result. We are still saving the siding and putting it aside, but I don't know if we can or will reinstall any of it.
Jäikö tänne nyt? Saatana.
One of the trickiest builds so far has been these corner casings. It's a pure coincidence if anything is straight in this old house. So if you want to put your relationship to the test, forget the reality TV formats and just try this instead. Miraculously, we got all 4 corners of this house done, and we're still married. Now, maybe it's time to do something about this roof, don't you think? During the years we have patched it up where needed, but now that there's something worth keeping dry inside the log frame, the roof renovation was urgent. Luckily, we found this great duo, the same guys who built the extension too, and I managed to lure them into building this traditional felt roof, similar to the one that the house had before. For the mudroom, I had a vision of a brick floor, but I didn't have the budget. After a few mishaps, I found brick tiles from an online marketplace that I thought we could make into a brick floor of my dreams. Or at least as close as possible to what I had been dreaming about. Tiling this mudroom floor was very, very scary. All I could think of was that if I made a drastic mistake, we would not only lose the tiles we spent a lot of effort on, but also might have to get the whole waterproofing redone. So I just took it really slow and I thought through every step again and again to stay on top of things.
Here we go!
The thought of starting to work on the even more complicated bathroom floor felt a little lighter now that I had some experience. But did I feel confident? No, I was still scared all the time.
It is going good so far. And I haven't yet shown you, but it also has a new roof now.
The mudroom and bathroom area has 3 different thresholds, and I battled with them for such a long time. This one I decided to make out of an old floorboard I found. This one I made to measure to match a possible double door that we may or may not install later. And this one. This had to work under a tile with waterproofing and be a certain height to meet the regulations for a wet space. It was a painful experience to figure this out, but it's done. After all the threshold problems were solved, I could finish tiling both rooms. then there was this floor grouting that wounded me inside, so let's not go deeper into that now. For my first tiling jobs, I maybe could have gone with something a little more simple, but I really wanted to finally be able to design and create a space that meets with my wildest dreams. Even though there's a lot of compromises I had to make here, I feel like the overall feel here is exactly what I was going for. This is the latest adventure we embarked on here, removing the paint on the kitchen floorboards. I thought that I'd just paint them, but slowly the earthy and natural wood was beckoning me so strongly that I wanted to try how the scraping works. And if the floorboards would turn out to be something that I could feel like I could live with. On our scale of things, the scraping job didn't feel that massive, so off the paint goes. I had prolonged the wall tile grouting for way too long after the floor grout incident, but now it had to be done.
This is apparently how it was supposed to come off from the floor also, but it didn't.
I feel that a project like this splits your life in two. There's the life before the house and the life after the house. And after the house, you have changed, in good and bad. It may seem like just another floor or ceiling to someone else, but everyone who has gone through something like this knows how much work, thought, and trial and error lie behind every single surface. It teaches you to appreciate the craft, the effort, and the willpower it takes to make your vision become reality. But somehow the quiet constant remains. The thought that one day this could be a home. A quirky old thing on top of a hill, looking out to a small lake, standing wonky in the middle of the fields. Maybe this is what dreams are made of.